Hi, welcome back to episode 7 of Coping Interventions with Praggatti. Today we are going to explore together our sixth coping style to manage stress, distress, and be more emotionally resilient. But before we go there, I have to thank so many of you to send so many lovely blessings as well as messages around how this series is helping you. And trust me, I'm super stoked around it. So today I'm going to talk about a coping style which is referred to as managing self-talk. But before we go there, I need to also remind everybody who's listening and being very particular with this series is the fact that stress management is always a three-step process. Just listening to all the videos in one go won't help. It'll be a sheer knowledge download. I so hope, pray, and expect that this can be one of the best skill download that you have ever done for yourself. And that's the reason I want you to listen to one video at a time, implement it throughout the week, and then move on to the next one. With that promise, let me tell you what are the three steps which are involved in active stress management. So the first step is all about knowing what is stress for you and also knowing the stressors. What are your stressors? Once you know that, get into the loop of finding out the methods or the techniques that work and help. Something like this that I'm sharing each week is also working on the same lines, and use it under guided supervision. And once you've done that enough, now is the time to take that skill out into the real world at the targeted scenario so that you can reap rich harvest of being stress-free and emotionally resilient. Self-talk. Well, if we go by a lot of clinical psychologists, they always say that it can safely be argued as a way of thinking where we are quietly thinking through things rather than engaging in a discussion around the concept or a conversation with anybody else. This is what exactly self-talk is all about. Self-talk could be negative self-talk and it could be positive self-talk. Chances of self-talk being negative are very high because of our hunter-gatherer origins, because of our cognitive biases, like particularly negativity bias. And the world that we are in, the way it's becoming chaotic with each passing day, could be another reason that our negative self-talk could jeopardize and make stress so much prevalent in our lives. We self-talk in four ways. We personalize, which means we look at all the things which are going wrong and we take it personally and we blame ourselves for that. We catastrophize. We feel that all that bad or negative can happen is going to happen, and no amount of logic or rational would make us think otherwise. We we also look at negatives all the time, and we undermine or underplay all the positives that are happening in our life. That's another way we do it. And lastly, we polarize, which means we only look at the black and white aspects of a situation. We only look at cans and canards. We have no middle path or middle ground for categories, for events, for situations, or anything else that bothers us. So if this is true, and this is how it's supposed to be, isn't it time that we start engaging more in positive self-talk? But how do we do that? Well, honestly, positive self-talk is something which does not come very naturally to us. This is something which is not instinctive to us, and this has to be practiced. So if you're somebody who is extremely pessimistic by nature, it's so important to reframe what you're talking to yourself and convert it into much more inspiring and engaging a dialogue. Something very positive, something encourages you to take action rather than what freezes you in your shoes. So what could help? I think engaging with positive people could be a very great idea because their positivity also rubs on off to you. Then listening to comedies or laugh shows or all these kind of stuff makes you look at your problems in a lighter vein, and you also you actually get new ways to think around the same problems, new ways, new perspectives, and you do better around stresses and problems. What else can do? I personally feel that engaging in, watching those kind of positive, inspiring, engaging videos or affirmations for that matter could be a great place to make sure you bring down the levels of negative self-talk and you optimize your self-talk in your favor and feel far more comforted when you are faced with stress, distress, or any other, frustrating events. Finally, all I can say is be in touch with your feelings, because when you are in touch with your feelings, you really know what's bothering you. You can really pinpoint what is the area of concern and you can address it. But before I move on to leave you with practicing of engaging or engaging in the right self talk, which means minimizing the negative self talk and optimizing the positive self talk and self directions, all I can say is now is the time that your first video on mindfulness based stress reduction is going to be super helpful, because that's where I told you how you can be consciously looking into things like this, which we do on a daily basis. We talk 400 to 600 times to ourselves in a day. Sadly, most of that is negative. Think about it, go back to video one if you've not watched, and just go week by week. I see you next week. Thank you so much.